How's it going, everybody? I wanted to make a video here and show you guys how to do this. I kind of got bored and I wanted to make myself a little project, so I kind of figured out how to do this, or put some stuff together. And I don't see any videos out here how to do this, and I thought it would be good for everybody to know how to do this. So basically, we're going to be putting DNS through Tor to the anonymizer, not the anonymizer, sorry, to the Cloudflare's new, what do they call it, the privacy first DNS. So the setup is all on Cloudflare here. This is kind of like an older post, but everything still works. I pretty much ran everything through here. So you're basically, there's the Tor address you're going to be using. But for the breakdown, you're the user, you're hitting the Tor network, you're using this exit node origin. They usually can basically kind of figure out where all this is going to, because it's still going through the Tor network, but they can kind of figure out the entrance and exits. So if you're doing any kind of like surfing, you don't want to keep everything like private or what have you, there's another way to do it. So it's going to go through the entry node, the random point in the Tor network. It's going to go hit inside the Tor network, which Cloudflare has their side inside the Tor network, and then it's going to go out of Cloudflare itself to do the DNS resolving. So it's basically they're the exit node, or the hidden exit node that's going to privatize everything that's coming from the Tor network. So everything, it looks like it's coming specifically from the Cloudflare network and not jumping back to like this. They can basically kind of figure out where you're going into and where you're coming out of based on what you're talking to. And when you're doing it this way, it goes in, but then everything, multiple different outputs are from here from multiple different people are hitting outside, so it's kind of hard to find out who's doing what. Specifically for just DNS resolution and things like that, because normally when the Tor network, when you're doing it, it still kind of anonymizes all the information, but they can still kind of figure out who is talking to what. It's kind of like a metadata thing. They're just gathering information on the metadata of who is entering it with so many bytes and who's exiting with so many bytes, and they kind of figure out, okay, so you're talking this, you're talking to that, and then you're talking to what other person over here. They can kind of figure out who or what you're doing and kind of like metadata track you off of that. So going through this, it gets it's another layer of like privacy. So that's the kind of simple part of it. The main thing is usually when people do this, they'll do it like on one PC, their own PC. So when they're like at their house or something like that, they'll just do it on the one PC they're on. I'm gonna do it for my entire network. So no matter who's on it, they're going to go through my pihole, which I have set up here. And this does like ad blocking and everything like that. You can find other things on how to set up the pihole. It's really easy. It took me maybe 10-15 minutes, if that, depending on like the speed of your box and everything like that. But you basically just make this your DNS server. This thing will either block queries or allow queries based on their blacklist and whitelist. You can add more stuff on there. So yeah, you can see what you're hitting and what you're not hitting, whitelisted, blacklisted, and I'll show you some of the other sections in here for you. So for setting this up, you basically, so I'm not doing this on my Mac because I initially started to do this on my Mac, and then I was like, why don't I just do it through Pi-hole, have everybody talk to Pi-hole. That one is doing the tunneling with the DNS and everything. So when I use Tor, I can still use my regular DNS locally. That DNS will use everything else externally through the Tor network, through the Cloudflare, and then you'll be good. So it's basically adding more hops to it. But locally inside your network, everybody is DNS encrypted and anonymized through the Tor network. So I'm going to show you how to do this. I'm going to probably put the link in the description, but as we get to it, sorry about the whole long-winded description, just kind of wanted to get you understanding of how all this works. You can read through all this But the thing about it is also Pi-hole kind of helps you with caching, so you don't necessarily have to go back out and hit certain locations if they're already cached. Kind of saves on speed and bandwidth, things like that, to make things faster for you. So, running DNS over HTTPS. That's the first part. You're going to have to set up this Cloudflare part. This is the second section with the Tor network with the browser. So we're just going to hit into this. Setting this up, it's pretty straightforward. Download the Cloudflare integration. I had it on Linux. They have one for Mac. They have one for Windows. I haven't done the Windows one, and I'm not going to do it because I have it on my Pi-hole, so it's not going to matter. So I basically just downloaded this, or got the link. Went to my box here. That's the Linux box. I have Pi-hole on this one, so don't mind the information that's up here. It's not going to make a difference. I'll show you what it is. So I basically just did the wget, pasted the save link in anywhere. It's just like in your domain, or not your domain. Your home folder. In your home folder. And when I do this, I know there's an easier way to do that, but I just want to delete. So you're going to go to just your home, right? Nope, that's not it. Home. Wow. My Linux commands are not the best right now. Oh, and I'm also root. So yeah, that's probably not going to do it. So, right. So you download the Cloudflare with the wget. Then you do the iPackage or package dpkg, and then and then cloud. That will install it. So that will install the Cloudflare section of it. So I don't need to do it because I did it before. So we can go back to this section. Basically run this. Shows you which versions you have. You have whatever version they're saying. This is 18, this is 19, this is older information. You can do this information right here to do the Cloudflare proxy. Show you how to do that. Yeah, I do need to run it as, so you do need to run this as privileged. And you can set up a script to do this later on. So it's going to say basically the same thing that's looking through here. It's going to say I'm adding this, I'm adding that, these are my DNS, everything's fine there, right? So that's the first part. That's to just get it running. It's already in use, so I'm not even worrying about this listener because Pi-hole is already using 53 to listen. So don't worry about that. If you're using another one, you'd be fine. So if you just do this, it's going to give you an IPv6 address using Cloudflare. If you change it up, because I wasn't sure completely on what it was asking for, you can do this, because I thought it was supposed to match up, but it's all going to be a little different based on your setup. So like that's Google, that's Cloudflare's IPv6. So as you can see, it's getting the right addresses. Especially, so it's basically just saying, you look at this DNS server for this address, and I want the quad A record. So it's going to loopback, this is the loopback. It's going to do localhost for the DNS. This is already set up with the Cloudflare proxy, so it's going to say, okay, I'm going to use this proxy locally, do this, grab this IP, grab this IPv6 IP, which is the quad A record when you're looking for DNS, and you want it to do it for this host name or this domain. So you know it's working, it's grabbing that information. So this is how to make it a change the configuration a little bit. You can use this, where's it at here? The configuration page, first generate. So you're going to make a configuration page. It's going to be like this. You basically, you actually can always copy this part. It's not really going to make a difference. Do this. Oh, whoops. Probably run it as root because that's probably what it's doing. Then you're going to go to the set it up as an Argo tunnel. You can reference this to set that up. Since proxy runs bind 53 needs to be installed admin privileges. So you can do this. Well, let's go here. Yeah, so same thing. Yep, same thing. So you can go to this, which is basically showing you how to set all that up. Let me see. Nope, my bad. So in the Argo part, you're going to go to Start Automatically Argo Tunnel. Basically copy and paste this section right here. You can pretty much follow along with this. And it's going to give you some error, cannot copy configuration from running service, blah, 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 cert, yeah, there you go. So when you're doing this, installing this part, if you already have the pihole set up, you're probably going to have this error message pop up, because I did the configuration before, but apparently I didn't copy it over. So, you know how this is all about trialing error. Basically just research the error, and somebody found out that if you do this, you copy the cert from this to the cert in the Cloudflare section, you can fix it. So let's see if this fixes it. And then let's run the service install. Created symlink, copied. It looks like it liked that. Okay, cool. So it basically made a service that runs as a daemon for this in the Cloudflare. So this right here is what you're going to need to know. Take a snapshot, what have you, pause it. You'll know where to copy it from. But that's what you're going to need. I found it on GitHub if you really want to know more about it. It's in the issues that they had. So we're done with that. We found it, and then let's see, move this, move that. Yeah, it's telling you about the cert and some of the other stuff. So that's how to make it a service with this Argo. So then we're done with that. Let's close this. Let's close that. Let's close that. All right, so install as a service. And now verify that it's running. I already showed you that it was running because that's what happened before. That is the next step. So that just shows you it's running. So now you're going to do the DNS decrypt proxy. So there's kind of two setups that you kind of have to go back and forth between. So if you do this, find the instructions here. It's going to take you to here. DNS crypt. Sorry. It's going to have all these options here, all these other little things you can do. Not even worrying about those right now, but it's going to show you what you can do, the flags, setup, verification, everything. So we're not doing just regular Linux, which is what I did before. We're doing the pihole. So let's go to pihole here. And you're going to run all of these, not all of them, but like any of the ones that are highlighted like that. Don't use this. No, sorry, don't use that. But if you need to download the file, the DNS encrypt, you can download it right here. And I got this version, this one right here. That is the version I downloaded. I just right-clicked, did a copy, went over here, wget, put it in there, got that file. But it says you have to do it in the CD opt. So make sure you open it up, or you wget it from this file. So you do, I'll show you here. So you should see a DNS proxy right in here. along with the pihole, and you shouldn't see that one because you don't have a dual proxy. So once you're there, you have it set up. You're gonna just run that command, run this one, hit this one, this one. This will create a file. This will let you edit the file. When you're editing the file, I'll show you this. When you're editing the file, let's see. Let's do nano. A lot of people love VI or Vim. You know, I mean, I already had nano in there. Wow. All right, so you already has root, so I'm not going to worry about the sudo. So you're going to go through here and look for a couple things. It's going to say you need to change the IP address, not the IP, the port address for this, for example, because that's what you're using for pihole. Because pihole's already using 53, so you can't use it. You have to use a different one for this. So you will change this address, this port, and you change the IPv6 port. I just did the 5300 like it said. It's working fine. I'm good there. Also, zoom down to require DNS Sec. I turned that to true. I decided to turn that on because it just helps. Then you run these commands here, these two, the start the service and then start. There, you're good there. You don't have to do this part of it. That's only if you're having other issues. Let me see here. And then when you're setting it up, here I'll show you two things because you're supposed to go back and forth when you're doing this. So before you get out of this config right here, in the previous one, right here, it's going to say you need to open the DNS proxy file that you already have open, that I was just showing you, and you're going to add in these server name sections. So you basically can copy and paste this in here, right there. Just copy and paste it in there, and that should be it for most of it. So when you're done, you're going to stop. You're going to Control X and save out of that, so it'll save the file. You can do back here, but you have to modify some things. So when you're modifying this, go to the pihole. You're already logged in. You're going to go to your settings. You're going to go to your DNS, and then you're going to turn off all the ones you had here, because usually you'll just do Cloudflare like normal or what have you, and you're not changing anything in here. You're going to set this as the one loopback address 127.0.0.1 hash 5300, because that's the port you just set on the DNS encrypt. So that's what you're using now. I also turned on this use DNS Sec. You'll find out here why I use this in here in a second. And it's kind of actually helping kind of me finding some things I want to block and not block. You can use a conditional for it. I'm not even going to get into that, but just do that, do a save, and you're pretty much done with most of this. I don't think you need to go back to it. So you change it. They do use a different port. Doesn't really matter. That's all you need to know. See, it's saying replace the port with this. That's fine. If you're running older versions of Pi-hole, that's how you kind of set some of that up. Also for the DNS sec part, just basically anywhere. I wouldn't do it anywhere, but I mean, since you're still in the DNS part of this proxy here, you can just do the DNS proxy sec. You can just do the proxy sec here and then just copy it over with this command. It just adds it into the DNS mask for the DNS conf. There you go. You shouldn't have any issues with that. If you get an issue, then it might not have been installed, or it might be, you might not have the right permissions, so try it as root. But that should be it. So when you're done, you can go here and then do this, and it should give you this IP, which is not my IP. And this is not my IP. That's another IP. Well, I'm actually on a VPN, so it doesn't matter really any. So you can do that for this. So that's kind of giving you a test of what it's doing, what it's bringing back, how many servers it found, is it working, all the information from the DNS records, things like that. So that's good. So you can do a test to find out if the resolver is working or not. So if you do this, this is just kind of like a simple Java test for the DNS secure. I added it in there. If it doesn't work, he'll give you basically an FU face. If it does work, you'll get a thumbs up. There you go. See, so that basically tells you the DNS sec is working. All that's fine. It's liking it. It's happy. So from there, you can do this other test, which I really don't want to. I mean, you don't really have to do. It just kind of like confirms other stuff if you really want to. So I didn't worry about that. But that's mainly the part for the DNS crypt. So you're kind of down here. You go back to the where am I at? This is the DNS proxy. You don't need that. Go back to this. Okay. We've already added this into the server section, so that's good. We can go here and do this. Oh, sorry. If you install it with like the apt-get, you can run that. But if you install it with like the tar file in this folder, that's where you're gonna have to do this. So just do that, run it. It runs all these things, shows you it's coming from Cloudflare, shows you the names, IPs, things like that. It's good. So see, basically looks like that. Works, everything's inspected, localhost, you're good. So you can register it as a system from here. Nope, that took it back to the other one. So this is the verification for the download if you really want to do like the signing to find out if you have the right file or not. That's pretty much for what that is. All right, so you're done with this. So you have the DNS over HTTPS client up, running. It's receiving requests. The pihole is set up to receive it and transfer everything over to the DNS encrypt, which is going to send it to the Cloudflare right now. So everything's set up right now, so it's anonymized through the Cloudflare. But you still need to add it to the Tor network. So that's what you're going to do next. So you can stop that. You can turn that one. Let's see. I might need this one. You don't need that. You don't need that. And that's good. And I have tons of these open. Sorry. So you're going to come back all the way here. So you're done with this. So now you're going to start a Tor socket in the proxy. The thing you're going to need is this SOCAT, which you can get. All right. So apparently, this is one section that I forgot to put in here. So let's do this live. So let's just do the apt-get, install it, and it will do its thing and install. Right on. All right, so then you're going to set all this in here. So basically just copy the whole thing. Remember, this is from the Cloudflare on how to set all this up. So you're going to go back here. You're going to run this. Big, long fork of a thing. Okay. So I'm going to let that go because I think it's just like an actual daemon that runs. So you're starting it local, TCP. It's going to do listening. Yeah, it's just a listen. So it's not like just a command that runs. So yeah, it's going to be up until you terminate it. So we're going to do instruct your machine to do onion as local. Let's add this to the host file. You're probably going to need to do this as root, so sudo, and paste that bad boy in there. So I decided just to do it manually, so you know how to do this when something doesn't work. Just go into here. You can add it to this. Just add another one. It hasn't hurt me in the past when I just added more than one, so it's fine. So do that, Control X, save it, yes, for Y, and then save that. You're good there. Now, you're going to start up your Cloudflare proxy with all this stuff in here. Well, it's not going to show all that stuff, but it's going to show the top one is what you're going to be running. It's a sudo. I might need to do sudo. No, permission denied, listening. Yeah, so I'm not worried about that because that's fine. This is what I'm really wanting to know about. So it's done that. Okay. So the thing about the pihole that I wanted to tell you about is when you do the DNS secure, the DNS sec part, this section right here, it tells you information on what's being like the reply, not the status. So some of them say blocked, which is normal. Some of them say insecure, which is great because you're finding out which ones are insecure and which ones not. Some of them will show up as secure. Let me show you. Yeah, apparently I go to a lot of insecure stuff. But like, see, Cloudflare, secure. So you know it's an actual secured one that it's using. And a lot of these, I just go and block them. Like, I think I've blocked some of these because it even shows up as bogus going here. I just block it. And unless it's really a big issue with something loading up when I'm doing like ad blocking, I just go and block it. So other than that, yeah, the Cloudflare should be running everything through there. The Dns Proxy should be great. I think there's one other section for testing it, but you've already tested the entire section, so that should be good for your DNS. So now when you're surfing the web for your DNS inside your entire house, all that's basically taken care of. The only other thing you might want to think about is this. So when you're doing that, you can go here to Simple DNS Encrypt, and it's for Windows. It's basically a management for your DNS proxy. It's only for Windows as far as I can tell. They have a Linux one, but that's pretty much it. Nothing spectacular, fancy, or whatever, but it gives you kind of like a little thing to kind of say, I want to use this, I want to use that, don't use this, what have you. Remote service, Ethernet, has some other available resolvers that you can use, but I wouldn't really change those since you're automatically using the Cloudflare private one. So yeah, a lot of those are good. You can do caching, force TCP, blacklist, whitelist rules, things like that. So yeah, I mean it's a nice little heads-up display if you want to look at something on your PC and not go to the actual config file, because this is basically the config file for the section we were doing earlier. So like where is it at here? It was in this one. And you could probably make this running as a service, but I didn't really want to get into that right now. It's probably easy. Or just make it as a little script that runs in the I don't reboot, like a reboot daemon that just runs. Just make it run that, and it'll hit the Tor proxy DNS for the Cloudflare, and that's the onion address that it's using to hit it, and then that's the stack report. So other than that, that should be pretty much the end of this. And if you have any other questions on how to get any of this working, I mean, you could probably put a little comment in the DM, but mainly you just kind of walk through a lot of this information and you should be good. But other than that, let me know if you have any questions. Remember to click subscribe, comment, like, and do all that other cool stuff that they do on YouTube here. So if you have any other questions, let me know. All right, peace.